he's going to be much more forthcoming because he's in the patient chair.
Ah,
and I'm so used to being...
Okay.
I'll probably be asking you questions.
So what do you recommend to others embarking on a creative partnership? What selection process do you recommend to putting a potential partner through? Like, is there a litmus test here in Hollywood?
Well, I don't know what the... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, please, please.
No, I don't think there's a litmus test, because I've known people from my dad's generation down to, you know, my generation and much younger people, and there's all kinds of partnerships. For me, I have a litmus test after having a number of failed partnerships and a couple of really good ones. And that is that the person should have complementary skills, not the same skills. I think there's no point in a partnership where both people can do the exact same thing equally well. You might as well be writing alone and getting more money for it. Because the one thing that I tell students is be prepared to split your paycheck. But on the other hand, they love partnerships in this town. They particularly love male-female partnerships because they think they're getting two sides of the brain, which they may very well be. But yeah, for me, that's my litmus test, if I have one. But it's not anything I've really thought about until we started working together 7 years ago. I had a long-time writing partner who was great with jokes, and she was great with, because she came out of not out of stand-up so much as she worked in the Kentucky Fried Theater, which was the Abrams Zucker brothers. Before they made Airplane, they had a theater out here. And she was a great joke writer and a pretty good dialogue writer and had been an actress. And I was a story guy. So that was complementary skills. It worked. I think it's kind of like if both people are great at jokes and they're not good at story, I don't think that's such a good partnership. What do you think?
I'd have to say yeah.
Okay, good. Good.
And the idea of picking a partner, I mean, I've had a lot of writing partners as well, and what I'm stunned at is how long it takes till you figure out if you're in a good partnership or not. You know, there's the idea of first impressions. People are on really good behavior when they first meet you. They're very compliant, they're very complimentary, and then eventually you get to peel away layers and see who they are, if you can really work with them.
Except I was so cranky that first night that...
Well, I mean, we decided to work together the day we met, which was... Do you want to tell the story?
No, because I so enjoy you telling the story.
Okay, did you see his nose grow? I was one flight above. He was in his car. Our kids were playing together. They were both in the same 8th grade class having a play date. Jeffrey was sitting in his car crankily waiting for his son to come down on time because he didn't want to come upstairs and meet yet another parent and have to go through, "Hi, my name is, what do you do? Yeah, what do you do?" And of course the kid wouldn't come. So he comes up and we went through the, "Hi, how are you?" And when we get into that part, it's, "Oh, you're an academic, so am I." And then Jeffrey said, "You know, I've been a writer just about all my life, but now they expect me to do academic writing. Do you do any of that?" And I sort of a long, boring research background, so I said, "Yeah, I've done a lot of that." And I decided to tell him a story about the first incarnation of Show Me the Funny, which started very close to 20 years ago. And we had done something somewhat similar with a group of comedy writers. And then Jeffrey said, "Well, who are the writers you interviewed?" And as I started to name each writer, Jeffrey's eyes started going like this. And he said, "Every writer you named was at my house playing poker with my dad when I was growing up." And then he literally jumped off the couch and said, "Let's do the project." So it all happened within that first night.
So the people that you've talked to, who've come to you and maybe had questions about their own partnerships, is it that one of the other side of the partnership is not following through on details? Maybe they're a little flaky? Is it an overpowering of egos? A little bit of both?
You know, it could be so many things that could make a partnership not work. Yeah. It's kind of like friendships and relationships. It's like if you said to somebody, "Well, Do you find the relationships don't work because people butter their toast too loudly and scrape the, it could be. It could be just about anything.
I do know a partnership that broke up because the one guy would sit and they'd always work at his partner's house, and he was picking apart fabric. He was so nervous that he and the wife had just recovered the sofa, and he was I mean, I'm sure there were other reasons, but that was part of it, that they just got on each other's nerves. Also, I think that you have to really have a mutual respect. What I find particularly with young writers is that one person will let the other person do 95% of the work and then want 50% of the credit. And that's not going to work. That's kind of what you were saying. That's not going to work. I expect that in 20-year-olds, but by the time you're 30, you better know that you're going to have to put... And then I also think you have to sit down and decide. Sometimes, we've never had to actually do this, decide who's going to do what. It just sort of comes naturally. Like, for example, with the interviews, I don't know why this is such a strange thing. Peter absolutely hates transcribing. And in the first book, we hired people to do the transcribing, but for some reason I said, well, he's doing so much, I'll do the transcribing. I kind of like it. I can kind of edit as I do the transcribing, so it takes a little piece out of the process. We don't have to. So as I've gone along, I've kind of taken that on, and he takes on other things. But I don't recall having major discussions about it or anything. It kind of what comes naturally to each of us.
We have a pretty good ebb and flow in terms of who's good at what and likes to do what.
I try to get him to do more, but it does, and sometimes it works.
He's basically not strong enough. We arm wrestle to decide, and the scorpions make it really exciting.
Karen laughed. I think we're doing okay.
Either that or she's enormously polite. I'm going for the polite hypothesis.